Setting fire to a cop car was one of the most heroic things I've ever done. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. In my little fucking fairy tale, I met a girl. Her name's Ronnie Ann Cooper. She spoke to the king and me, and she's my queen. I saw this little thing. It said, every man has two men living in him, a fool and a king. How do you know when you've met your queen? When she speaks to the king in you. And I have been obsessed with researching fools, the relationship between fools and the stage, Harlequin, who had a black mask, and the development of blackface minstrelsy that degraded the black male, made the black male appear foolish on stage, and then got inverted through the blues and infused with humanity. And, you know, I had been researching fools, kings, things like that. And my ex-wife, well, I divorced before I met Ronnie. She divorced me because she had a baby with somebody else. She used to call me the court jester. So I kind of always thought of myself as a fool. Then I met someone who spoke to the king in me. And if I win her heart through conquering the dragon of racism, because it is a dragon, it's a real dragon, and I'm not Don Quixote. It's a real fucking dragon. If I conquer that fucking dragon, if I slay that dragon, and in the process win her heart, she becomes Ronnie Ann Cooper Evans. Race. So it's like racism for race. It's also Jim Crow was, first of all, the first example of a blackface minstrel. It also became the name of the second form of racial caste in America, Jim Crow, segregation. And it's what Michelle Alexander calls the new Jim Crow, the result of the war on drugs, mass incarceration, police brutality. So I set fire to a cop car, and then went into the belly of the beast to conquer, to slay that dragon. As a nod in self-sacrifice to the original JC, the hero of heroes that conquered hell, Jesus Christ. But also to go through and become a criminal. And I'm proud to be a criminal. I'm proud of my soldiers in there. I'm proud of my soldiers in there because we didn't declare the war on drugs. It came to us. Not to mimic in a degrading form black men like Jim Crow, blackface minstrelsy, but in admiration and reverence to black American culture, to go into the hell, the beast that comes to black communities, write about it, and slay that fucking dragon for my queen. Racism for race. Self-sacrifice. Infusing that with humanity. A nod to JC to invert Jim Crow, and not in mimicry. To conquer racism. Racism for race. Ronnie Ann Cooper Evans. So yeah, also to impress a girl. But it's all linked. Fuck the police coming straight out the underground. I slay dragons. And like Wynton Marsalis says, Wynton Marsalis said, race is that thing in the story. Now, he won the Pulitzer Prize for music. And he says, race. Race is like, for this country, the thing in the story, the mythology, for you to do for the kingdom to be well. It's always something you don't want to do. It's always that thing that's so much about you confronting yourself, like a mirror. It's tailor-made for you to fail. And the question of your heroism, your courage, and of your success in dealing with this trial is, can you confront it with honesty? And do you confront it? And do you have the energy to sustain an attack on it? And since jazz music is at the center of the American mythology, And I heard this when I was studying the history of blues and rock and roll before I met Ronnie. Since it's at the center of the American mythology, necessarily deals with race. The more we run from it, the more we run into it. It's an age-old story, and if it's not race, it's something else. But in this particular instance, in this nation, it's race. So I figured, well, what I saw with Ronnie in my arms was a real fairy tale with a real queen and a real dragon to slay so I could be her king. Make a Ronnie Ann Cooper Evans race. And people like John Qualtrough, they saw me as Don Quixote. You know, a fool who sees windmills as dragons and whores as queens. Well, fuck that. I saw a real queen. And if you think racism in the new Jim Crow is just a windmill and not a dragon, that's insulting to all of Black America and me. Real dragons and a real queen, not a whore, you cocksucking pieces of shit. But it's alright. Just get the fuck out of my way. Because I slay dragons for my queen. I'm not Don Quixote. He's a famous fool. He saw windmills as dragons and whores as queens. She's a real queen. And I slay real dragons, you son of a bitch.